Miss Evans here. I'm about to settle down and read you my favourite story. It's called Worried Arthur, The Birthday Party by Joan Stimson and Jan Lewis.
Arthur was a penguin and a worrier. He knew that most things turned out well in the end, but he still couldn't help worrying. One morning, Arthur woke up feeling excited and worried all at once. Dad had promised him a birthday party and there were invitations to write. All that day, Arthur chewed the end of his pencil. At last, he finished his guest list. "Now, what sort of party would you like, Arthur?" asked Dad. Arthur wriggled happily. This was something he had finished worrying about. "A bouncy iceberg party, please, Dad," he said. That night, Arthur practiced bouncing on his bed, but the next day he flew in from school in a flap. "Whatever is it?" asked Dad. "It's Ben," cried Arthur. "He's got such a big beak, and when he biffed Flip's ball, he burst it. What if Ben bursts the bouncy iceberg at my party?" "Good heavens, that would never do," agreed Dad. "Now, have you got any other ideas, Arthur?" Arthur smiled. He certainly had. "A fancy dress party, please, Dad," he said. That evening, Dad made Arthur's costume. It was perfect for Arthur. In fact, it was so perfect that Arthur insisted on wearing it to bed. But the next day, he tore in from school in a tantrum. "Whatever is it, Arthur?" asked Dad. "It's Wally," wailed Arthur. "He's having a fancy dress party too, and Wally's birthday's before mine." "That is unfortunate," agreed Dad, "but you can still wear your new costume to Wally's party. Now, have you got any other ideas, Arthur?" Arthur squirmed and wriggled. Then he disappeared. When he came back, he was wearing his trunks. "A swimming party, please, Dad," he said. That evening, Dad tried on his trunks, and Arthur found his snorkel. But the next day, Arthur was late home from school. At last, he trudged indoors. "Whatever is it now?" asked Dad. "It's Katie," mumbled Arthur. "Katie can't swim yet, so it wouldn't be fair to have a swimming party." "Quite right too," agreed Dad. "Now, have you got any other ideas, Arthur?" Arthur shuffled and shook his head. "I've run out, Dad," he whispered. "Don't worry, Arthur," cried Dad. "I'm sure we'll think of something." Halfway through supper, Dad had a brainwave. "I know," he beamed. "You can have a surprise party." "Yippee!" cried Arthur. "Will it be a surprise for me too?" "Of course," said Dad, "and this party will suit everyone." Before bed, Arthur wrote out his invitations, and the next morning he took them to school. The night before his party, Arthur was so excited he didn't know what to do with himself. "I can't wait to find out what the surprise is," he whispered. Then, all of a sudden, his face fell. "Whatever is it?" asked Dad. "Oh, Dad," groaned Arthur. "You're not going to do your magic tricks, are you? The ones that all go wrong?" Dad coughed and spluttered. "For your information, Arthur, my magic tricks are highly entertaining. But I do know better," he went on, "than to expect a group of growing penguins to sit still long enough to enjoy them." Arthur wriggled with relief and went off to bed. When Arthur woke up, it was his birthday. He was almost too busy to worry about his party. There was a special birthday breakfast, and presents, and helping with food, and finding his best tie. All Arthur's guests arrived early. They wanted to know what the surprise was. Just at that moment, Dad staggered downstairs. He was carrying a huge cardboard box. Inside were some curtains, several pieces of wood, some coloured ribbon, a ball of string, and a pot of glue. Arthur's guests looked confused. Arthur was in a panic. "Oh no," he groaned. "It's the magic tricks after all." But then Dad made an announcement. "Welcome," he began in an impressive voice, "to Arthur's outstandingly rated, fresh air related, uncomplicated, do-it-yourself kite party." Arthur and his friends made up their kites in record time. With whoops and shrieks, they raced along the seashore. Then they ran back inside and demolished the birthday food. By the time Arthur waved goodbye to his guests, he was beginning to yawn. Dad was yawning too. "And how did you enjoy your party?" he asked Arthur. "Oh, Dad," cried Arthur, "it was magic. But there's just one thing that's worrying me," he whispered. "What is it, Arthur?" asked Dad wearily. "Well, Dad, will you be able to think of another surprise in time for next year?" Dad smiled. "Just relax, Arthur," he said, "and let me do the worrying."